Hi, it's Robin Fritz. We had a blip here on the West Coast in our electricity, and I lost the video. I'm not even sure I'm here now. If you're here, please chime in. We're going to get back to chatting with you about nature today. Um, Technology, right? It's in our corner until the power goes off. So sorry about that. And welcome back to Coffee and Cosmos with Robin. And let's just see what happens here. We're not expecting a blip here, but we have some construction going on in our neighborhood and things happen. So again, thank you for joining me today. My name is Robin Fritz. I'm an intuitive and spiritual consultant, certified past life regression specialist. I'm based here in sunny Seattle, Washington, on the west coast of the United States. And today I want to talk to you about nature, ecology, intuition, and share a story about how we connect with nature that will really, I hope, inspire you to find new ways of connecting with nature on your own. So again, let me just go back quick and make sure that you had a chance to connect with Fallon, because that looks like when we dropped off here in our connection here in Seattle. So take your attention to the top of your head. We're bringing mind, body, and spirit together here in community. And today, as you're just letting Fallon help you get grounded and balanced in the space with us, let your thoughts turn to how you can create a connection with nature, even just by bringing a little houseplant into your home or saying hello to the garden as you walk by in the neighborhood. So take your attention to the top of your head, breathe down your face, your shoulders, your chest, your hips, your knees, and your feet, the top of your head to the bottom of your feet, and then reverse that from the bottom of your feet all the way to the top of your head, and just feel yourself letting go of the cares of the day and coming together here in community, where we have, oh, darn it, there we go, sorry. Humanity Healing Om Times has created this space for us, so let's come together. So if you have a question you'd like me to look at intuitively with you today, please type that in the box, but just say hello there, and tell us where you're from and where you are today. So I wanted to spend a little bit of time talking about nature and our connection with nature. And really, it can be very fun to just go out and try to have a connection with a flower or a tree or a yard, or even your own house plants or deck. Here in Seattle, we're in the northern hemisphere, so spring has just started, and I know it's a complete opposite in the southern hemisphere. But wherever you are, I'm going to ask you to take the opportunity today to have fun and play a little bit with nature. Sometimes we feel the weight of the world's problems. We feel like helpless and there is nothing we can do. And you hear about global warming and ecological disasters, and we just feel like it's just too big for us. And what can we do as individuals? And we feel overwhelmed by helplessness and that things might not matter. But the truth is, each one of us does matter. And really in very basic ways that we don't always think about. And this afternoon on my radio show at omtimes.com radio, I'm going to be talking about how to intuitively connect with your garden and why that's so important, and share some stories with you that will, I know, convince you that it's important. But today I want to share a story that I know we can all connect with and give you some ideas of how simple it is for each one of us to make a difference in the world. And I know it's important because we all feel helpless at times, and we think that the world is too big for us to help or to be a part of, when in fact it depends on each one of us. So you're here as part of the planet, and it's important for you to feel that connection to the planet. So, one of the things that you can do is consider your gardening. Now, you may not have a garden, you may just have a house plant. If you're like me, the only house plant you can have is a gigantic jade tree because that's the only thing my cat won't eat. So, I keep dried lavender around the house and I garden on a very small deck. So every spring, summer, and fall, I have like 3 feet by 2 feet. That's it for my garden space. And but some years ago, I took over the gardens here in our condominium complex here in Seattle, and they were a nightmare. They hadn't been tended in many years, and we have a wild area that my office looks on that can't be built on, so it's literally wild. And a lot of the native plants that grow naturally here in Seattle have taken over that hillside because we're not interfering with it in any way. We're not going out there and trying to garden on a steep hillside. But one of the things that I noticed was that nature is out there trying to connect with us, and we're not always hearing it. And I'll tell more stories about that this afternoon in my radio show and how I met what I call the Guardians of Alki, which is the area that I live in, who they really were, and how they helped me create a garden. But here's a story that will get you thinking. Some years ago, I was down in Oregon and I was with a friend, and we were looking at a tree that she had planted in a wet area. And she had bought the tree specifically for that wet area, hoping that she could create a line of trees in that area and they would help with the somewhat boggy conditions, the way the land sloped down and the way creek ran through the property. The problem was the tree was dried up and dying. And she couldn't figure out what was going on. And as I was standing there looking at the tree, I heard this really deep voice behind me go, "Turn around." And so I looked up and I turned around, and here's a giant Douglas fir tree across the street. And it's saying, "Good, you recognize me. Now turn around again." And I turned around and faced the other direction, and there was another tree like 3 or 4 blocks away. But what they wanted me to notice was that they were in a direct energetic line to the tree that my friend had planted in this boggy area. And what they were doing was saying, we are creating this energy line between us to help her in her desire to learn more about nature and herbalism, which is what she was interested in. And it was fascinating, right? We don't stop to think that the world around us, the trees, for example, are paying attention to what we're doing and actually trying to support us. And by that, also paying attention and thanking us for supporting nature. So, in that way, you can see how simple it is that whatever you do to support the world around you to be healthy is being noticed by the rest of the natural world around you. Pretty awesome, right? We think we're all alone and we're not. But here's an important part of the story, or another important part of that story, was that I was concerned about this tree that was drought stricken, and yet it was planted in a boggy area, which was natural environment for the tree. And I looked down and I saw that there was a weed mat planted around the base of the tree, or stuck there in the base of the tree. And I said, "Why do you have that there?" And she said, "Well, it keeps weeds down, and so it makes it a whole natural environment, and she doesn't have to weed around the base of the tree." Well, that's not what I was hearing from the trees around me and the tree itself that was dying. That wasn't what was happening. And I reached down and I yanked back the mat. And of course, the ground was completely dry under it. And she looked at it in shock and was like, "Oh my gosh, had accidentally been suffocating the tree, that the weed mat." So you think about it, we put, at least up here in in the United States, people use weed mats and like black plastic, and they spread it out, and then they put mulch or something on top of it, bark, to hold it down. And that prevents weeds from coming up, right? Well, it also prevents life from reaching the dirt and the things that are under the dirt. And what nature told us that day was that the weed mats and the black plastic are cutting off the energy from the sun and the rain. So it isn't just that it was dry from lack of rain, the energy of the sun and the rain was being cut off from this tree. And then as a result, it's cut off from the land that is underneath the plastic. And we think about it, yes, we want to stop the weeds, but we were actually creating this problem of blocking energy from freely flowing. So, what can you do about that in your own life? Well, obviously quit using weed mats and black plastic, and of course things like pesticides, and go back to natural gardening. Yes, it makes it harder for us, but what can you do in your own house? Like, can you grow a little green plant in your house and use that plant, or a plant on your windowsill, or if you have a deck or a garden, and learn to develop your intuition by connecting with the plants. It's really very easy. You can put your hand on a plant and ask it what it needs. And then however your intuition works, it will give you an answer. I did this in learning to weed in the garden. I mean, there was so much, and I didn't know what was a weed and what might have been originally planted, or what may have flown in on the air as a native. So I'd put my hand on a plant and I'd say, "Are you ready to go, or do you want to stay?" And the weeds and so on, or the dying things that were ready to go, just came right out of the garden. So the great thing about, talking to you today about ecology and consciousness and nature is that each one of us can make a difference by learning to connect with nature around us and hearing what nature has to say. So if we're worried about the large issues of things like climate change, whatever that means, and wherever that is affecting, from to help it be its best, to help the planet be strong and healthy. And we are here as servants of the planet, trying to support it the way that it is supporting us. And it's a lot of fun to talk with a bush or a tree or a houseplant and learn to play with your intuition and find out what nature has to tell you. So I challenge you to try that this week and let me know what you discover in that. So let me see if I can run through. So that's Lisa Marie Campbell and Lisa from Australia. Hi. From Colorado. Hi, Judy, California, New Zealand, Ohio. Great. Thank you all for chiming in. Yes, Judy, San Francisco, Bay Area. Awesome. So sorry that we got cut off there. We're back to share some space with you. I hope that helps you, give you some ideas. Don't forget how creative you are and how much fun you can have by, not looking over your shoulder, worrying about what the neighbors are going to think, but going out here in the Northern Hemisphere where it's spring. Tulips are coming up, daffodils have been in bloom for a little while here, and everything's waking up, and it's fun to watch it. It's fun to watch the seals and the sea lions playing in the ocean. All of nature's waking up here. Wherever you are in the world, seasons are important, and we grow and change with the seasons. And wintertime is a time that I get extra sleep. The days are longer. Spring and summer, I'm up longer because I tend to run with the sun. And so notice how you respond to nature, how you respond to the changing daylight, and what that means for you in terms of being healthy and involved with the planet. And the more involved that you get in just simple things like paying attention to what's going on in the world around you, the more connected you feel to other people, to the planet around you. And that's important. And I hope that it helps remind you that you are important to the planet. Simple thing like a weed mat, a simple thing like how we garden, that makes a difference. And so if you feel overwhelmed by the problems of the world, know that you can make a difference right there in your own home, in your own neighborhood, simply by paying attention, by asking nature around you what you can do to support it. And you'll be surprised at how eager nature is to support you. So, with that, I'd like to turn quickly to the crystal of the week, which is chrysoprase. Now, I've shown you chrysoprase before. Um, it's a hard word to spell. Let's see if I can type it in here. I'm having trouble getting my computer to act properly today. Here we go. That's the crystal. Chrysoprase I love for creativity. So I keep it around when I'm writing, working on writing projects, when I'm working with other people on their writing projects. So it's a real boost to your creativity. But a green stone is also great for connecting with nature. And the one thing that I love about chrysoprase, or several things that I love about chrysoprase in learning to connect with nature, is it sparks creativity and it promotes insight. Okay. So it'll give you a different perspective on how you personally can connect with nature. And it inspires positive attitudes and it rejects negativity and judgmental ideas. So it will help you gain a new perspective on nature, but on anything that you might be dealing with currently. So this is polished, and I carry it around in a separate pouch. I tend to find that if I just stick a crystal in my pocket, they'll jump out and want to explore wherever it is I happen to be walking. And it's a tough way to lose crystals. They go exploring. But you can find it online fairly easily and check it out. Look at pictures and see if that crystal appeals to you and what it might do for you in going out and connecting with nature. So I want to leave you today with the real truth that you matter in the world, and who you are and what you do matters. And you will expand your own self-worth and your own understanding of how you fit in the world as an equal with all life by doing something as simple as creating a relationship with a plant. My house plant, my only house plant, is a jade tree my dad grew from a single leaf, Raymond the jade tree. He's been 55 years old for 10 years now. I kind of lost track of how old Raymond is, but he's huge. He's gigantic, and he thinks of himself as an oak tree. And his job in the house, his self-defined job as a jade tree, is to be there as a guardian and a safe haven for my animals, especially when they're not feeling well. They can stretch out underneath Raymond and feel that healthy energy of nature reaching down to support him. So when you start paying attention to how closely nature cares about us, you start realizing that we fit into the world in an awesome way that we're not paying attention to all the time. And it makes a difference. It'll make you better at home. It'll make you better at work. And it'll help you find the different things that only you can contribute to the planet. And you're important. So figure it out. Have fun. And that's the message I want to leave you with today. Have fun connecting with nature. So I want to thank you for joining me today. Again, I'm Robin Fritz. You can find me on Facebook at The Practical Intuitive. I offer personal and business intuition, animal communication, mediumship, space clearing. So I help clear land as well as homes and businesses. and past life regression, a process I call soul progression clearing, which just helps clear away blocks regardless of what they are. And please join me this afternoon at ohmtimes.com radio for my radio show at 2 Pacific Time, 5 Eastern. It's how to intuitively connect with your garden. If you have questions, please send me an email at my website, robinfritz.com, or here at Facebook at The Practical Intuitive. And if you like these broadcasts, please like this page, Humanity Healing, my page, The Practical Intuitive, the Ohms Times pages, and help us help you. And let me know subjects you'd like me to cover with us all together here each week at Facebook Live at Humanity Healing. So, sorry for the electronic blip at